Welcome. Today we're doing May-June 2022 paper 22 on You Can Do It Maths. This is going to be awesome. Question 1. It tells us to work out the difference between the noon and the midnight temperature. Now, difference means subtract. So if we take the noon temperature and we subtract from that the -9, 2 minuses makes a plus, and we get 13. If we were to do it the other way around, we take the midnight temperature and subtract the noon temperature, we'll get -9 minus 4 is -13. Which one is correct, 13 or -13? Well, either one. The mark scheme gives marks for either one you write, -13 or 13, just to subtract the two from each other. Question 2 is a pie chart question, and it tells us to calculate the angle for the red cars. Now, pie charts is just fractions. So what fraction of the cars are red? So let's see, there are 3 red cars. And if we add up all the cars there is, that's 13 plus 4 is 17. That adds to 20 cars. So 3 out of 20 cars is red. When we put stuff in a pie chart, it's like in primary school, you used to draw pizza slices. Now it's just a very big, finely sliced pizza sliced into 360 parts. So you need to know what fraction of that out of 360. Don't waste your time, grab a calculator. 54 degrees is the answer. Question 3 is about my favorite fruit, figs. They only cost 43 cents each. Lyra's got $5 to buy them. Alright, that means she's got 500 cents to use. How many figs can we buy? We simply need to divide that by 43. Okay, so 500 divided by 43 gives us 11.627, etc. Well, okay, so she's not going to buy 12, she's going to buy 11 figs. Okay, don't let that 0.627 confuses you. That is not the change that is left. How much does 11 figs cost? Let's see, 11 times 43. It costs 473 cents. So of course the change she's got left is 500 minus 473, which would be 27 cents change. We got it. Question 4 is plain forward calculator question. Calculator, and hammer that into the calculator. Square root 68. Make sure you use these arrows to come from out underneath the square root, and then square root 153. Okay, equals 102. Straightforward. Question 5. Don't confuse surface area with volume. Okay, surface area means we need to work out the area of each of the 6 faces of a cuboid. So there's the cuboid. Remember, it's got 6 faces. Let's say this is 8, 6, and 3. That is 3. So first, let's work out the area of the front face, which is this part here. Yes, of course, that will be 6 times 3. Now the front face and the back face over there is the same, so we're going to double it for the front and the back. To that, we're going to add the next part, which is, let's say, is the right hand side there. So that will be 3 times 8. But of course, the left hand side over there is the same. So again, we're going to double it. And then to that, we add the top. Okay, so the top has got a width of 6, a length of 8. So that is 6 times 8. But of course, again, the bottom is the same as the top. So we're going to double that. All we need to do is put that into our calculator. And bam, we have the right answer. Question 6, probability. We've got Pete. Hey, Pete. I like that name, Pete. Pete Pompies. Right. Remember, all probabilities needs to add up to 1. So when we add these 3 probabilities here, we need to get 1 or 100% because there's only 3 possible outcomes: square, circle, or triangle. So to find that triangle, we need to do 1 minus the other 2 probabilities, which would be 0.54, so that is 0.48. Okay, do show a bit of working out, because I do see that on the mark scheme you get a mark for that and then a mark for the answer. Okay, so show as much as you can. Right, question 7 is straightforward. Remember, with percentages, it's always the same. When you reduce something by 18%, you're taking 100%, the full price of the object, and you're taking that way 18% of that, which means you'll end up with 82% of the original price, which as a decimal or a multiplier is 0.82. So all we have to do here is, because we're moving forward in time, we want to know the new price, the sale price. We need to do 126 times 0.82, and we got the correct answer. Question 8, nth term of a sequence. Remember that n stands for the number, the position of the term in the sequence. So if we want to know the first number in the sequence, we put a 1 there where the n is. So that's 1 squared plus 12. 1 times 1 is 1, plus 12 is 13. So the first one would be 13. Okay, to work out the second number in the sequence, we put a 2 where the n is. 2 squared is 4, plus 12, that is 16. And then to work out the third term, that is 3 squared is 9, plus 12, we have 21. Question 9, bearings. Remember the 3 rules of bearings, right? North is always 0 degrees, 0, 0, 0. Number 2, we're always going clockwise. Or you're looking for the other side, clockwise. And third rule, always 3 figures. Okay, so first of all, the bearing of B from A. When it says from A, imagine you are at A. We are there. We're at A. Okay, and we're going to B. Flying a plane, sailing a boat, going to B. And the bearing is 059, meaning going from north, which is always 0 degrees, or 0, 0, 0 degrees, because it's 39. That is 59 degrees, or the bearing is 059. So that's 59 degrees. Remember that. Okay, work out the bearing of A from B. Now imagine you've been to B, did your city break, you visit your girlfriend, whatever you did there. Okay, you're going back. So what is the rules? Okay, again, north is 0, 0, 0. Second rule, always go clockwise. So to measure this bearing, we need to go this way around. Okay, now we can't measure it because it's not scale, we need to calculate it. There are different ways of calculating that. Okay, what to remember here is we have here parallel lines. These 2 lines are parallel because they both point straight north. Okay, what do we know about parallel lines? Well, we got F angles, which is corresponding. We got Z angles, which is alternate. And we got co-interior angles, which is 180 degrees. So we can use any of those facts to calculate this. Let's just use the most basic one here. Co-interior angles means that this angle here and that angle there together is 180 degrees. So if we do 180 minus 59, that would of course give us 121. So that means now we have this angle here, that the angle is 121. and 21. Okay, but we're not going anti-clockwise, we're going clockwise, we're going the other way around. So what we need to do next is subtract that from 360 to get the clockwise angle. So 360 minus 121 will give us 239. Meaning this angle here on the outside clockwise 239, and that is the bearing we're looking for because it's clockwise, 3 digits, and we have the answer. Question 10, column vectors, and I'm going to explain this the long way so you understand exactly what actually is going on here. Right, so first of all, column vectors, remember this. We got a number at the top, and that number tells us how much to go left or right. Because if it's positive, we go to the right. If it's negative, we go to the left. And the number at the bottom tells us how much to go up or down. If it's positive, we go up. If it's negative, we go down. So the vector, column vector P would look like this. Let me get it good up. There we go. Okay, so let me just get a nice color. Right, so let's say we start over here. Column vector P at the top is 2, which means we go 2 squares to the right, and at the bottom is 8, which means we go 8 squares up. And we'll end up over there. Okay, so this vector would look like this. And remember, that will be P. And it also got direction, it goes in that way. Okay, then for the other vector, Q, starting at the same point, we got a -1 at the top, which means we go 1 to the left, and then a 4. We go 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Q would look like that in that direction. This is Q. So when we subtract the one from the other, we are asking what do we end up in the end here, meaning what is this vector going from there to there. That is what happens when we subtract them. If we add them, I would have added Q to the end of P. Okay, subtracting is the difference of where they're from. Now we can just count it here. So the P minus Q will be that minus that. That is 1, 2, 3 to the right, and 1, 2, 3, 4 up. So that's the answer. Okay, 3 to the right and 4 up. Okay, of course, this is not how you're going to do the exam. There's a lot quicker way. P minus Q means we take the top of P and the top of Q and we subtract it. So 2 minus 1 is the same as plus. That is 3. That's where I get that 3. And at the bottom, 8 minus 4, because we're subtracting. That's the quick way. Okay, but we need to understand why we're doing that. Okay, so I'm going to make it harder. Okay, for question B, 6P just means we take that vector P. Let's get P up there. Okay, just P. There we go. We take P and we add it to itself 6 times. I can't do it here, so I'm going to fit. It's going to go way off the page. Okay, so you just make it 6 times longer. So to do that one quickly, we just multiply 6 with both parts of P, the 2 and the 8. So 6 times 2, 12, and 6 times 8, which is 48. Okay. Please just never, ever put a line in between. It's not a fraction. And don't simplify it. Okay, it's not fractions. These are column vectors. Don't do those things. 12 over 8. Question 10b. We got find P minus Q. Now we already found P minus Q. Remember? There. In question 1a part 1. P minus Q, we found it. Difference now here is we got those 2 lines. Okay, that means find the absolute value or the magnitude of the vector, which means the length of the line. Those lines also means ignore any negative signs. It's only a positive answer because we're going for the length of the line, ignoring all negatives. Okay, so we worked out P minus Q. We got it over there. That's 3 over 4. Okay, so we know P minus Q is 3 over 4. That is it. Okay, so what we want to do now, we want to find the length of that line. So let's go back to what we did last. So that was P, and then we did Q, and then we subtracted them, and we got that P minus Q, the red one. Okay, and that's the one we're looking at now. Looking only at the red part, yes, we can form here a right angle triangle. Let's make it bigger. A right angle triangle. You see that? Right angle triangle, and then in this right angle triangle, we got the base is 3 and the height is 4. See that? And what do we know about right angle triangles? And the length of sides, Pythagoras. And the magnitude is finding the length of that hypotenuse. And that's all it is. We need to find the length of that line, and for that we're going to use Pythagoras. So if I want to find P minus Q, which is 3 over 4, I'm going to have to do the square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared. Easy as that. Okay, hammer in your calculator. This is a Pythagorean triple. You remember that gives a square root of 25. So of course the answer is just 5. Question 11, straightforward index question. Remember the index rule. If we got two indices, let's just make them both A, and they got the same base, then we make that B and C, then we add them together. So in this case, we got 6 to the power of P times 6 to the power of 4. That means to find that, we're going to have to do P plus 4. Okay. Well, that is equal to 28. So what do we add to 4 to get to 28? The answer, of course, 24. 24 plus 4 gives us 28. Question 12, speed distance graphs. These things are fun, right? Annette, she's going from Midville to Newton. 70 kilometers, right? So Midville must be here at 0 kilometers, and then at 70, which would be halfway between 80 and 60, over there, that's 70. That must be where Newton is, somewhere across on this line. Okay, I'm just going to mark it. Right, so at some point, she's going to stop on this line, which is 70 kilometers away. Okay, let's just also look carefully at the scale. The vertical axis seems there is 10 squares between 0 and 20. So each little square counts for 2 kilometers. Keep that in mind. Each little square, 2 kilometers. Okay. Right. So that is the first piece of information. Sorted. She leaves Midville, so it's 0 time, 0 kilometers, and cycles for 1 hour 30 minutes. So 1 hour 30 minutes seems is going to be somewhere over here. She's going to finish in line with that green at a constant speed of 20 kilometers per hour. Okay. Now we don't have to complicate this. We don't need to use the whole speed time triangle thing. It's a lot easier than that. 20 kilometers per hour means in 1 hour she travels 20 kilometers. Means in 1 hour she travels 20 kilometers. So after 1 hour she'll be there. Then if she goes 1 hour 20 kilometers, and she goes an hour and half an hour she travels, of course, 10 kilometers. So what would be 30? So in 1.5 hours she'll travel 30 kilometers. So that means that's where she stops. Hour and a half, 30 kilometers. It's not complicated, so don't make it harder than it is. It's very logical. 20 kilometers per hour means 20 kilometers in 1 hour. That means 10 kilometers in half an hour. That means an hour and a half is 20 plus 30 kilometers. Okay, then she stops for 30 minutes. So we go flat for 30 minutes. So now she's been away from home for 2 hours. Okay. Of course, you're using a ruler and a pencil, so if anything goes wrong, anything is crooked, any mistakes made, you can just rub it out and you don't get stressed on the exam. Right. So now we sorted that second sentence. She then continues her journey to Newtown at a constant speed of 16 kilometers per hour. So 1 hour, 16 kilometers. So we're now at 30 kilometers, 2 hours. So in 3 hours, she would have traveled, and after 3 hours, an hour later, she would have traveled another 16 kilometers. So from 30, we need to go up 16 kilometers. Here we go 1 hour, and that will give us 46. So remember, each square is 2 kilometers, 2, 4, 6. There we go. Okay, very accurately, she'll be over there. After 3 hours, she is 46 kilometers away. Okay, then after another hour, she traveled another 16 kilometers. Okay, so what was it? 46 plus 16 is 50, 62. Yeah, we just continue that line because it's a constant speed, but we double check that yes, you see, I'm 1 square above 60. That is correct. So after 4 hours, we are 62 kilometers away from Newtown, from 70 kilometers. That's another 8 kilometers to travel. Now she's traveling 16 kilometers an hour. 8 kilometers will take her half an hour. So from 4 hours, we continue until we meet that green line I drew before, 70 kilometers away. And that, if it's all correct, should be going down there to 4.5 hours, completing the whole journey. Okay, that's it. So it took her 4.5 hours to cycle the 70 kilometers with a little half an hour break in between. So for question 12b, calculate the average speed. This is now where we can use our triangle, speed, distance, time, remember? And the formula is in the units, kilometers per hour. Kilometers is distance, hours is time, and that is speed. So what's the distance she travels? She travels 70 kilometers. What's the time? 4.5 hours, so that's 4.3, right? 4 hours, 30 minutes. No, don't make that mistake. It's not 4.3. 4.5 is 4.5. Make these mistakes, but people make them. Okay, 70 divided by 4.5. Okay, which gives us 15.5 recurring. Rounded to 3 significant figures is 15.6 kilometers per hour. Done it. Question 13 says without a calculator. So if you were to do this, nobody's checking, but if you were to do this, put it into your calculator, the question, press equal, you get the answer. Okay, they want it as a mixed number in its simplest form. That's an improper fraction. You just press shift and this ST button, there it is. The answer is 1 and 7 over 24. Okay, got the right answer. 0 marks, of course, because I used my calculator and I didn't show all my workings. So what we need to do now is fill in that blank space to get the marks. So first thing we need to do is change the mixed fractions to improper fractions. So 4 and 1/8. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 1 is 33 over 8. Okay, if you're unsure or you forget, you're stressed, put it into your calculator, it gives it to you. Anyway, next one, minus 2 and 5 over 6. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 5 is 17 over 6. Again, in case you get a blank in the exam, the calculator can tell that to you. Nobody's checking, right? Then we need to get the denominators the same. So we are tempted to go for 8 times 6, 48, which works. You get your marks if you get a common denominator of 48, but 24 is just the lowest common one. Okay, but you can use 48. So to get 24 means we're multiplying this 8 by 3. So we multiply the 33 by 3. That gives us 99. And to make the 6 at 24, we multiply this by 4. So we multiply 17 by 4. That is, of course, 68. But there's nothing wrong with double checking. Okay, remember we are subtracting. Okay, so what's left to do is 99 minus 68, that's 31, over 24. Then 24 goes into 31 once, remainder 7. Bam, that's the answer we have. Okay, and now we have full marks. Okay, get a mark from making the improper fraction, a mark for getting the common denominator, and then if you have those 2 marks, they'll give you a mark for the final correct answer as a mixed number in the simplest form. Question 14, compound interest. Okay, so Carlos invests money. Carlos, smart guy. And we got our formula. Let's just write that down again. So compound interest is A, which is the amount that you have at the end, not the interest, the amount, equals P, principal, the original amount you put in, 1 plus R is the percentage, the rate, divided by 100 to the power of N or T. Okay, now, what do we have here? At the end of 10 years, Carlos got $1,328.54. So that's the amount, the A, 1,328.34. Okay. P, the principal, is what he started off with. Now you see I've got made a mistake there, because obviously when he invests money, he's not going to end up with less. This would be a horrible bank. So that A is wrong. That is not 1,328.34. Okay. That is just the interest. That is just the extra money the bank has given him. So to get the total amount that he ends up with, we need to add the money he put in the bank and the interest the bank has given him. That will give us the total amount. Okay. So that means after 10 years, he actually got 5,868.54. Now that makes sense, because you want to put money in the bank and want it to grow. Right. So let's continue our formula. 1 plus the rate is what we don't know, to the power of 10. Okay, so to calculate R, we need to rearrange this formula. So first thing I will do, I'm going to divide. This is 4540 times that, so now it's going to be division. Okay. Next, we can't move that 1 or anything. We need to get rid of this 10 over here, because it's keeping everything in the brackets captive. So moving that 10 to the other side will be root 10, of course. That will leave us with 1 plus R over 100. Okay, so this is what I like to do. So to do root 10, we are going to press Shift and this button here, which will allow us to put any root in there. So I can put the little 10 up there and then use the arrow to go underneath the square root, and I want to put in a fraction. So I put 5,868.54 over 4540 equals. Now that looks familiar. That looks kind of like a multiplier. Yes, so we got 1.026 etc. equals to 1 plus R over 100. So to find R now, first we're going to do is we're going to subtract the 1. So we just subtract 1 from that. Of course, gives us 0.026. And then multiply it by 100. Bam, 2.6% interest rate, which is a reasonable answer. And we're happy. Question 15, highest common factor, and then they give us algebraic terms with A's and B's. So then let's throw you off, all right? Highest common factor is everything that can divide into it. So let's break it down in all these factors. So 12 A cubed B would be the same. The factors would be like 3 and 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And then it's A times A times A, because A cubed times B. I just stretched it out, yeah? And what about 20? 20 can be 4 times 5. And then we got A times A, because it's A squared. And then we got B times B, because it's B squared. Now, those are like the factors of the two things. So all we need to do now is get the common factor. Okay, so we don't factor, now we do common. What they got in common? So they both got a 4. Let's write it down. We got a 4. Both got an A. Oh, they both got another A that's in common. This one's got an A, that one doesn't. They got at least one B. And that's it. That's everything they got in common. So let's just squeeze that together. That will be 4A squared B. And we've done it. That's the highest common factor. Won't be the highest if you leave out an A or leave out the B or write 2, then it won't be the highest. It should be common. But this is the highest common factor because we found all the common factors. Question 16, Venn diagrams. Lots of fun with these things, right? It's just practice to be good at it. So first of all, let's say use set notation to describe the shaded area. What is set notation? It's something like that in question B. See, that's set notation. Okay, so what do we have? Let's see. So remember with Venn diagrams, we got two main characters. We got the union, which is the one and the other, and we got the intersection. Both. The union could be the one or the other or both. Intersection, both. Okay. So let's start here. First of all, let's look at it. We got here a shaded area which is inside M. So we're going to write down M because we got stuff in M. Then we got G. So we're going to write down G because we got stuff in G. Our next step will be to decide which sign do we put. Do we put union or do we put intersection? Okay. Now, if it was intersection, it had to be in M and in G, which means only this part would have been shaded, or including that 9. That would be intersection. Union means it is in M and it is in G, or is in both. So we need to put union in between. Okay. But there is more stuff going on. There's a part missing. So we're going to have to put brackets around this. Because P's got something to do with this. As you can see, P has been blanked out. I'm talking about this, right? It's been taken, munched out of M and G. So there's a part missing. That will be the complement because P is not there. All right. Now again, we just need to think about which sign, union or intersection. Okay. Now, if we put union here, that means everything outside of P is included. So that would include everything outside the circles in the box. The union, if we put that, means we're including everything outside of P. And that's not what we want now. Okay? We only have the part there that is in M and G. So in this case, we're going to put intersection. Meaning it's in M or in G or in both. And not in P. Practice and you get this right. Next one, it says find N. That N means the number of. Okay, now we already have the number of. The number of is there, 11, 5 is written in there. If there were words like favorite pets, dogs, cats, birds, fish, then you had to add them up to get the number of pets. But here the number is already there, so that's not too hard. We just need to add up the numbers which is in there. So let's have a look. Let's go step by step, slowly, so we understand this. First, we have a P. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade P. Let's use some colors here, right? I'm going to shade P. Then we got G. Now we got P and G, the two they refer to. We look at the sign in between. Intersection. This means both. Okay, another way to remember intersection is you need to erase stuff. Okay, and we erase everywhere they don't overlap. So in the end, the only part we want to keep is where they overlap. There. That is P and C. 3 and 9. Okay, that is our overlap. So everything else we need to erase. Only keep the part that overlaps. Okay, so that blue part, that is what we have now. That is P intersect with G. Next, we got the complement of M. So that refers to everything outside of M. So let me just kind of show what's everything outside of M. Okay. All right, so now for everything outside of M. Now we got everything outside of M. We look at the sign, and this sign is union. Another way to remember union is leave. Where this is erased, you rub stuff out. When you got union, you leave it like it is. You don't rub anything out. That is it. Union, you leave. And that's it. We got everything now. Everything that is shaded, that is important. I'm referring to everything that is shaded, includes the parts I just shaded now. So finally, to answer this question, I need to add up all the numbers in the blue shaded part. So that will be 6, 3, 9, and 4. 6, 9, 18, 22 is what we get if we add them all together. Question 16c, a student is chosen at random from those studying geography. Often in the exam, the students just leave out that part. You just like ignore it. From those studying geography. So those studying geography, they're only picking a student from all of these students. So how many students study geography? 6 plus 5, 11 plus 9 is 23 of them, right? 23 students study geography. So we got a total of 23 students. Okay. Find the probability that this student also studied physics or mathematics, but not both. So they study physics or mathematics, but not both. So that is 3 and 5, 8. 8 out of the 23 also study physics or maths, but not both. And that's a probability, it's a fraction. Done it. Question 17, they ask you to sketch the graph of y equals sin x. Now, if you can remember what this looks like, brilliant, you just sketch it. But if for any reason you get confused or you're not sure, remember you got a sin button there on your calculator, so you can work this out. Okay, so let's start with sin 0 degrees. So if we put in sin 0 degrees, we get 0. So that will remind us that, okay, always use a pencil, of course, that it starts at 0. Okay. Where does it end? Sin 360. So let's put in sin 360. Okay. 0 again. So my graph needs to finish at 0. Okay. Let's go halfway in between. 180. What happens there? Let's put sin 180 equal. Oh, goodness. Seems like we always stay on the line. Okay. What happens halfway between 0 and 180, so sin 90, let's put in sin 90, bam, 1. So it goes through there. So what's going to happen here halfway between 180 and 360? What's that? 270. What's happened at 270? Sin 270 minus 1. We're gonna go through there. So now you will see the general pattern. Remember now the sun graph, it goes up, comes down, goes up. Okay. To make sure you get your marks, indicate that middle 180, 360. Okay. Question 17b. Solve 3 sin x plus 1 equals 0. So let's solve this like we do any equation. We first start by subtracting 1 from both sides. So that will give us 3 sin x equals negative 1. Then we divide the 3. So that gives us sin x equals minus a third. And then we move the sin to the other side. So that gives us x equals the inverse of sin minus a third. Okay, let's put that into our calculator. Shift sin negative. Remember that negative can be above the line, below the line, in front of the fraction. That doesn't matter. 1 over 3. Close the brackets. Bam, we got an answer. Okay. So we get x equals minus 19.471. Okay. There's a problem though, isn't it? Because it says x needs to be between 0 and 316. I got a negative. So what does that mean? It's somewhere over here. So if we continue our graph this way, then minus 19 degrees. Remember, this refers to the angle. X is the angle. Okay. It will be somewhere over here, minus 19 degrees. Okay. That will give me, remember, this is minus a third. It doesn't look like minus half, but it's minus a third down there. Minus a third, which was sin x equals minus a third, then it's minus 19. So what we need to look at now is, I want to go in orange here. Okay, if we go across from there to minus a third, when we want other values, we're going to cross our graph again twice. Okay, once here somewhere above 180, and again here somewhere just below 360. Okay, now the wonderful thing about the sin graph, it's all symmetrical. So if this distance over here is minus 19 point whatever degrees, this distance here is 19 point whatever degrees, and this distance here is 19 point whatever degrees. So there it is. To get our two answers between 0 and 360, first we are going to add this answer to 180, so it's 180 plus 19.471, etc. Got it on there. Just make it positive by multiplying it with negative 1, and then add it to 180. Bam, we got our first answer. And remember, these are angles, and it says in the front of the paper, always write angles to one decimal place. So that's 199.5. Okay. And to find our answer here, we're going to subtract it. So that will be 360 minus 19.471, etc. So 360 minus 19.47. Oh, no. One decimal place, 340.5. Beautiful. Question 18, proportion. Let's put that first sentence in mathematical language. Y is proportional, directly proportional to the cube root, not square root, cube root of x plus 1. Okay, now we can make that an equation if we put in the constant k. Next step would be to substitute the x and the y values to work out that constant k. Okay, so y is 1 equals k. This is not k cubed, sorry, yeah, this is cube root. Okay, x is 7. So that means 1 equals k. What's the cube root of 8? Of course, is 2. So 1 equals 2k. Yeah, you understand that? The cube root of 8 equals 2. K times 2 is 2k. And then divide it, so k equals a half. Divide that there, yeah? It's a half. So we can now rewrite this equation with k being a half. So that's the constant proportion. It's a half. Excellent. Now we can work out y by substituting x in there. So y will be a half of the cube root of 125. Okay, now remember the cube root of 125, of course, is 5. Forgot that? Shift cube root 5. So that means we got a half of 5 is 2.5. Sweet. Question 18b, f is inversely proportional to the square of t. So let's put that in mathematical language. F is proportionate inversely to the square of d. That's it. Explain what happens to f when d is halved. What happened? What could possibly happen? Let's do this, right? Let's pick a value for d. Let's say d equals 2. So if d equals 2, we will have a half over 2 squared. 2 squared equals a quarter. Quarter is 0.25. So f would be 0.25. Now if we halve d, that means d equals 1. Okay, so that becomes a 1. 1 squared is 1. So 1 over 1 equals, that will be 1. F is 1. Okay, so it looks from 0.25 to 1. How do we get there? We multiply by 4. Let's see if this is true every time. Let's pick another value for d. Let's make it this time 10. D is 10. Okay, so that will give us 1 over 10 squared. So that will give us 1 over 100. 1 over 100 means f is 0.01. Okay, yeah? Don't believe me? Just check it, yeah? 0.01. Okay. So now we need to halve d. So d is 5. So what happens when d is 5? So let's make that 5. 5 squared is 25. So we get 1 over 25. What's 1 over 25? 0.04. Again, how do we get from there to there? Times it by 4. So that's what happens to f. Gets multiplied by 4. And you got it. Question 19, the joy of functions. Right, first one, the inverse function of f. So it means we do it backwards. So we take that fx, set it equal to y, because then we can inverse it. First by adding the 8, and then dividing the 7. Just working backwards. So our final answer is this, but remember to substitute that y for an x. So it will be x plus 8 over 7. For question B, let's start by writing down the function of h. So that is 2 per x plus 1 equal, and then we write down the function of g, which is 4 over x plus 5. But they've also told us what x is. X is a third. So instead of x there, I need to put a third. Right, let's do the first part. What is 4 divided by a third? How many thirds goes into 4? Great, 12. Nice. Okay, so that will be 12 plus 5, which is 17, and then we subtract that 1, so we get 2 over x is 17 minus the 1, 16. I like what I'm seeing because now we can make the two base numbers the same. Okay, so we got 2 over x equals 2 to the power of what? 2 to the power of what equals 16? 2 to the power of what equals 16? Okay, if you forgot, just check it out. 2 to the power of 3 equals 8, so 2 to the power of 4, 16. Bam. Okay, 2 to the power of 4 is 16. Now the two base numbers is the same. That means that x must be equal to 4. We got the answer. Question 20. Factorize again. All right, so let's look at this, right? We're going to have to break things up a little bit. Nothing I can factorize here and this, right? So let's make a bracket there. 2m plus 3p. Okay, I'm going to put this together though, okay? So let's see, minus 8 minus 12. What can we factorize from minus 8 and minus 12? Okay, common factor there, of course, is 4. Because 4 can divide into both. And the minus. So I'm going to put a minus 4 in front of the bracket. And also, okay. Then inside the bracket, I'm going to put 4 minus 4k times 2m is minus 8k, and minus 4 plus 3p equals. Okay, do you understand that, or did I go too fast? Right, so make sure when you multiply out the brackets, you get what is at the top. So let me show you what I mean. The first bracket here, I didn't factorize anything else. I need to put a 1 in front, right? So 1 times 2m is 2m, and 1 times 3 is 3p. Good, that's what we have there. Over here, minus 4 times 2 is minus 8, and k times n is km. See, that's what we got there. Then minus 4 times 3 gives me minus 12, and k times p gives me kp. It's very important that what I write below is exactly the same as what is above. Double check that. Okay. So the next step now, we're going to factorize this. And in this equation, we got two whole brackets. I'm going to factorize out this whole bracket and that whole bracket, which is 2m plus 3p. So I kind of like remove them. I take them, put them in front. What is left? Not just the minus 4k. Remember here, there's that minus, the 1, not minus, just the 1. The 1 is there. So we need to put it there, the 1. And then the minus 4k. Okay, it takes a little bit of practice. Check the mark scheme, but that is the right answer. Okay, if you swap the two brackets around, because there is other ways to do this. If you got the 1 and 1 minus 4k first, that's also fine. Okay, but this can be an awkward question. Question B. Okay, first of all, common factor there I can spot is a 5. So we factorize out 5. I'll be left with an x squared minus 4, because 5 times 4 is 20, y squared. And this is now we got that special case where we got a square number, a square, and a negative. When we got that, we can square root everything and put a plus and a minus. Okay, that is full square. And that's the answer to this one. Okay, now remember, if we multiply, let me just show you that that is correct. Again, if we multiply out these brackets, x times x is x squared. X times 4y is plus 4xy. Minus 4 times x is minus 4xy. And minus 4 times 4y will be minus 16y squared. That is wrong. Good stuff, I checked. So what that 4 should be a 2. My goodness. This is why we check our answers. So that means now 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, and that means this will be a 2 and that will be a 2. Okay. The joys of checking your answers. So that means that 2y squared minus 2y squared will cancel out, and I'm left with x squared and minus 4y squared. X squared minus 4, that's what I wanted. Now it's correct. Okay. So that's important. In the exam, you got time. Check your answers. And now we got it right, as always. Question 21. The first time you read this, gives you a headache. You're like, what? Okay, but it's not that hard. Just take it slow, right? The nth term of a sequence is all of that jazz. The first term, remember, if we want to work out the first term of a sequence, what we need to do is substitute 1 into the n. So there and there. So let's do that. So that will be a substitute of 1 squared plus b 1 minus 4, and we also know that equal to minus 3. Okay, so let's simplify that. 1 squared is 1, 1 times a is a, so we got a plus b times 1 is b, minus 4 equal minus 3. And just to make things look sweet, I'm going to add 4 to both sides, or add the 4 to the other side. So we got a plus b equals 1. Not bad. Then they tell us the second term equals to 2. So let's do the same. Let's take this whole n squared rule and we put a 2 in there. So it's a times 2 squared plus b times 2 minus 4. And this time it is equal to 2. So that will give us 4a plus 2b. Add 4 to both sides equals 6. Now this is nice because now we got two equations. We got a plus b equals 1 and 4a plus 2b equals 6. Now to move forward from here, there is a massive amount of ways to do this. We can rearrange, substitute. I'm going to go with the elimination method, and I'm going to keep the numbers as small as possible. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to multiply my first equation by 2. So that will become 2a plus 2b equals 2. Okay. In fact, let me just write it there underneath the previous one. So 2a plus 2b equals 2. So what we can do now is subtract the one equation from the other. So 4a minus 2a is 2a. 2b minus plus 2 is 2b minus 2ba is 0. Eliminate the b, it's gone. Brilliant. 6 minus 2 is 4. Divide that 2, and I got my first answer. A equals 2. Okay. Now to find b, let's substitute it into one of these equations. The obvious one is that one there because it's so easy. So if a is 2, I get 2 plus b equals 1. That means b is 1 minus 2. b equals minus 1. Sweet. If you can, always check your answer. So if we put that into the second equation here, we need to get 6. So let's see, 4, what is 8 times 2 plus 2, b is minus 1, that should be 6. 4 times 2 is 8, minus 2 is 6. Bam, got it, well done. Right, vectors, take it slow, believe in yourself, and you can do this. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the information. We got OA is X, OB is Y, and then OD, let's put that in, OD. Okay, OD's got direction, and this direction is 3 over 7x plus 4 over 7y. Okay, calculate the ratio AD to DB. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, just start with AD. How do I find AD? Going from there to there, we need to follow a path that we know. So I'm going to go from AD to find AD, from there to there. I need to go down here, X, and then up on the other side, OD. Put in other words, to find AD, we need to calculate what is AO plus OD. So let's put the actual values in there. AO, I'm going in the opposite direction of the arrow, so it makes it negative. So that would be negative X. And then OD is what they've given us. So that's plus 3 over 7x plus 4 over 7y. Let's simplify that. What is minus 1 plus 3/7? Minus 1 plus 3/7. You're not sure, putting your calculator, minus 1 plus 3/7. That will give us minus 4/7 x plus 4/7 y. Now that's sweet. I like it because it's the same. I'm going to swap them around to make it look even nicer. So 4 over 7y minus 4 over 7x. And because it just begs to be factorized because it's exactly the same, that will give us 4 over 7y minus x. Just to make it look nice. Okay, that's AD. We can work with that. Let's now take DB. How are we going to work out DB? Let's pick a different color for DB. Okay, to define DB, again, follow a path we know. So this time we're going to go down DO and then up OB. Okay, so to write that down, DB is DO plus OB. I believe this only counts 2 marks, alright? Right, so what is that? DO is going in the opposite direction of OD, so it is a negative 3 over 7x plus 4 over 7y. And OB, I'm going with that, that's plus y. Let's simplify that. So first multiply that minus, that gives you minus 3 over 7x minus 4 over 7y plus y. So again, plus 1y. What's minus 4/7 plus 1? Not sure, put in a calculator, but you will be happy to see that it is, of course, positive 3/7 y. Same as before. Let's swap it around to make it look pretty. 3 over 7y minus 3 over 7x. Begging to be factorized, that gives us 3 over 7y minus x. Now I'm very, 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 very happy with this because this is what we wanted. The vectors is the same, y minus x. So that means that AB is the vector y minus x, which of course we know it's y minus x, because if we go from A to B, we go down with x minus up, okay? But we also got those fractions in front, okay? AD is 4, 7, so which means if we divide this line into 7 parts, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, AD is 4 of those, and DB is 3/7, is 3 of those, and that's a ratio, 4 to 3, which means we got our answer. Okay, it says or equivalent, so if you write 8 to 6, 12 to 9, you get your marks. Don't know why we do that, but you never know. Question 23, last question on the paper. Okay, give us a lot of information. Don't forget that hemisphere is only half a circle. Got the radius, give us the total surface area. Let's start with this first formula here. Okay, let's work out the surface area of the hemisphere. So the area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. We want the area of a hemisphere. So what would that be? 4 pi, what's the radius there? 6.2 squared divided by 2, because it's only half a sphere. So let's hammer that into the calculator. 4 pi 6.2 squared divided by 2. Right, now how are we going to write this answer? We can put it in pi form, which is massive, or we can put it. I think to be thorough, I'm going to leave it like this. Is the most accurate answer. Okay, 1922 25 pi. If you want to write it down as a decimal, put at least 4 or 5 significant figures. Okay, excellent. So what other information do we have? Okay, the curved surface area A is good, the curved surface area, because it leaves out the base of the cone, which is not relevant here, so we can ignore that. That's good. Of a cone with a radius r, slant height L is by RL. So in that formula there, we got the area of the cone is pi, we got the radius 6.2, and L is what we don't have. Okay, what else do we have? All right, we know that the total surface area is 600. So if we subtract from that this area of the hemisphere, what will be left is the area of the cone, if you want to work out. So let's do that. Let's do 600 minus my previous answer. That would be nice and accurate. And there we go. Brilliant. 358.47. All right, remember I said don't round, at least 4 significant figures. To be thorough, do 5. Okay. We can write this as 6.2 pi L. Okay, that's the same thing. So to find L then, we just need to divide all of this on the other side. So we're going to have L is 358.47 divided by 6.2 pi. So all I need to do is take this answer, 358.47, and divide it by 6.2 pi, and get the right answer. (18.404), etc. Rounded to 3 significant figures, 18.4. Bam! Done it. You're a genius. That's all for today. Keep working hard. Keep believing in yourself, and you can do it. Well done. See you again soon. Bye.